Welcome to All Things Adrenal. Each episode, we'll hear stories from individuals living with adrenal disease, share updates on treatments, research, protocols, interview medical professionals, and explore all things adrenal together. I'm your host, Vanessa O'Rourke, NADF Community Engagement Manager and fellow adrenal warrior. Today, we are joined by Meg Zinke. Meg joined NADF as the interactive media designer in 2024 with a decade of social media and website management experience. She holds a BA in acting from the College of Santa Fe and an MFA in theater from Sarah Lawrence College. She lives in East Tennessee near the Smoky Mountains, where she divides her time between flower farming with the Flower Girl Tennessee, fiction writing, performing, and parenting. Welcome, Meg.
Hi, Vanessa. Thank you for having me.
Well, everybody, we are so excited to have Meg here because it's about to be April, which is Adrenal Disease Awareness Month. So we like to call that AADAM, so you'll hear us referring to that throughout this episode. And Meg is here today to chat a little bit about all the ways NADF is celebrating AADAM and how you can join in too. But before we dive into that, let's give our listeners a little background story as to how you ended up at NADF. So, I typically ask guests what their relationship to adrenal disease is, as many are medical professionals or have an adrenal disease. But what is your relationship to adrenal disease?
So my relationship to adrenal disease is you.
Surprise!
We met in college and we went our separate ways. And we remained in touch through social media, just kind of like keeping up on each other's lives, but not really staying too close. So I was aware of your diagnosis, and we did an interview on my podcast a while ago where you told me more about it, but I don't actually know anyone else with adrenal disease. I know there are people in my community who have adrenal disease, but you are my personal connection. And when I was looking for a job in May of 2024, I was getting really fed up with the job market, and I got to the point where I said, I'm not going to apply to anywhere unless I know someone in the organization. And not 2 weeks later, you posted the job of being available on NADF, and it worked out, and it's been just a pleasure to be here ever since.
I mean, to be honest, it's been perfect, if I can speak truthfully. Yeah. So Meg was actually my RA my freshman year at our college, which no longer exists, and we won't go down that rabbit hole. But she was my RA, and she also, is incredible and a very talented individual. For those that follow NADF or are a part of things and see, maybe, you don't know all the stuff that Meg's working on, but the website, gorgeous, amazing. The updates are all her. An individual of many, many, many talents. And she was actually around for pivotal traumatic moments in my life. She's a dear friend, but also incredibly intelligent and compassionate. And when she reached out about the job, I was like, absolutely 100% tenfold. And I couldn't be happier that she's here. And now actually you have more adrenal connections because, most of our staff has an adrenal connection, and now you know them and are friends with them. So anyway, yeah. Meg and I are dear friends. So happy that she's here involved with NADF for the last couple of years. She's made great strides and improvements and will continue to do so. But that's how Meg became involved with adrenal disease and her connection. And now let's dive into April and Adrenal Disease Awareness Month, because it's a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's our biggest month at NADF. We're all, all hands on deck all the time because there's so many different things that we're facilitating. And we want to share that with you. This is our first time having the podcast prior to AADAM. So we're able to share a little bit more behind the scenes before we get there so that you all can be involved. So I guess my next question is, what exactly is AADAM and why have a month dedicated to adrenal disease awareness?
So when I got the job at NADF, of course, I had to tell all sorts of people where I was now working. Family members, friends. I went to a sibling's birthday party where I reconnected with all sorts of people from my past and told all of them. And of all the people I told, there were only 2 who knew what the adrenals were, and only one who was like, oh, Addison's disease, that's a tough one to catch. And they weren't, I mean, a few of them had connections to the medical world, but all of that to say that adrenal diseases are really, people are not really aware of them unless your life or the life of someone that you know is touched by adrenal diseases. So first and foremost, that's a reason to have a whole month dedicated to raising awareness about these diseases, because simply put, they need more research, they need more funding, and all of that builds hope for the people who are living with these diseases, which can be pretty wearing down.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Obviously, as an individual with adrenal disease, I didn't know what an adrenal gland was until I was diagnosed. And that's also, I came from a wellness background. I was a yoga practitioner. I did a bunch of wellness, educational, additional health, trauma-informed, healing, all of those things where I was learning about the body, and either I wasn't paying attention or that just didn't come up at all in any of my trainings. So I absolutely agree that we need to dedicate a month to it, if not all the time. I mean, you think about other diseases, and the one I think we tend to compare things to a lot in the adrenal world is diabetes, and that's because it is another endocrine disease, but it is so well known. And whether or not you know somebody with diabetes, I feel confident in saying everybody listening has a general understanding of what diabetes is and the importance of managing it and how challenging that can be. But when you flip the tables on adrenal, not so much. So it's imperative to educate, but also to help bring about awareness to save lives. So what are some of the events that are going to be taking place this year? And where can people find information on the different events?
There are a few ways to find and keep track of the information. The big hub for everything is on our website. So that's NADF.US/AADAM. And if you just go to NADF.US, we've got a banner right on the front page. You can click on that, and that will take you to the page that has all the information on it. And we've tried to splash it in a few places on our website so it's really easy for people to access the information. Not only are we going to have all the information, all the events on the calendar, but also we have links so that you can download template letters for things like Light Up for Adrenal or proclamations from your city. And we'll go into that a little bit more here in a bit. You'll also get information about the International Adrenal Disease Awareness Day, which is April 7th. The other places to follow along would be our different social media profiles. And we'll make sure to put all of the social media handles in the show notes so that you can just click on that and follow us on whatever platforms you're on.
Yeah, there's so many things going on and so many different ways to participate. The social media is going to be a great way to stay up to date and kind of participate with all the different things coming up, because we'll be posting videos explaining what's going on, inviting people to join, all these different ways that people can help raise awareness.
Not to mention information about individual diseases and also about the adrenals in general. So we hope that there's going to be something new for everyone.
There's a whole education component. We're not just saying, wear blue, it's Adrenal Disease Awareness Month, which we are saying, but also we're going to be sharing information on how to be diagnosed, how to treat things, how to support as a parent or a caregiver, children with these adrenal diseases. So it's for everyone, for people new to the world, newly diagnosed, those who just want to learn more, or even medical professionals.
Absolutely.
What are some of the hashtags being used? Because we want people to start paying attention, and hashtags are a great way for people to stay connected and follow one another.
So the big hashtag that we use every year is AADAM, and then the year after it. So this year it's AADAM2026. That's the one that we use for the majority of our posts. But then we also have some that are more specialized, that are for some different events that we're doing throughout the month. So one of them is AD Looks Like Me. AD standing for adrenal disease. And that is a photo campaign that will be running through our social medias. We've done this a couple of years in the past too. So if you've been a part of that, we definitely encourage you to continue and show us, what does your AD looks like me look like this year? Another thing that we're doing is Light Up for Adrenal. And that is a campaign that we run that is to get people to have their communities light up different landmarks or buildings with blue light. So, for example, our director, Kalina, always gets her community to light up a certain fountain. And Vanessa, you've worked with Austin to have different buildings lit up.
Yeah, the city hall gets lit up every year. I just confirmed our date, so that's going to happen again this year.
Yeah, we had our big community performing arts center here in Greenville, where I live. We lit that up blue last year, and we definitely got some questions and engagement about that, which was really cool. So there's a way on our website for you to ask your local community to light up something blue. And then when that happens, you can take a picture and use hashtag #LightUpForAdrenal, and that will help share it with the community. And then we also have another event, Stride for Awareness, so hashtag Stride for Awareness, and that is a walking event, a virtual walk that we are going to be running at the tail end of Adrenal Disease Awareness Month.
And these are just some of the staple ones that we do. We kind of we bring these ones back every year. There are some new ones we're introducing this year that we're still workshopping, and we're very excited to share with you all. So again, if you're following the hashtag AADAM2026 in general, that's gonna be on every single thing that we post pretty much throughout all of April. So that's a great one to stay on top of everything.
There's a lot of momentum building behind this month. And that has been a visible, noticeable change since I jumped on board. So I found out about NADF just after AADAM 2024. And Vanessa told me it was busy. I got a real taste of that the next year, of just like how busy it is to be putting out that much energy to raise awareness about something. And this year we have more hands on deck. We are more prepared than we've ever been, and we are trying bigger projects than we've ever tried before, which is really exciting. It's a little bit daunting, but we can't wait to share this with everyone.
I'm so excited because we are trying some new things, and I think really a lot of it's going to rely on you guys, the community, to participate in these social media things. We're really trying to get momentum. We really want people to see things and share them and like them. And again, that may seem like a simple thing to do on social media, but that really does boost the algorithm. And if it reaches one more individual, that's more support, that's more help, and that could even save a life. So we really, really hope everyone will be as involved as we are.
As we are, and as works for your life and for your individual day, and for the hour in the day. We understand if you can't participate to the fullest of your abilities, or the fullest of your desires, I guess is probably more accurate. But that's why we try and do so much that is virtually based and stuff that you can do in your own community, often from your couch or your bed, so that you can be participating and you don't have to go anywhere. You can just live your life as your life demands in that particular week, day, hour, but still be helping to be a part of this community and raising awareness.
And I can confirm that you can do it from the couch, because I almost always participate through all of April from my couch. So that is doable. Yes. But let's talk about, we're talking about the community being involved. Let's talk a little bit about the medical community. Are they being involved in awareness activities?
Yeah. So actually for the last several years, the American Association of Endocrine Surgeons has been particularly supportive. They've done an hour-long webinar for the last few years, and that's for patients. They're also really, really active on social media. They do a lot of posts that complement ours really well. Lots of information coming out from them. And again, this year they are planning a webinar scheduled for April 7th. That begins at 8 p.m. Eastern. There's going to be more information about that on our website, of course, and also on our social medias to make it really easy for you to join. We have a very exciting new addition to our April repertoire, and that is that we are building off the success of our October conference, and we're doing a one-day virtual conference on Friday, April 17th, and that's going to run from 12 noon Eastern Time to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And both of these online events that I just mentioned are going to be recorded, so do register even if you can't make it, because then you'll get a link for the recording. And both of them have a Q&A element, so you will be able to ask your questions and hopefully get some answers right there.
And we have really incredible speakers and presentations part of that, which again, you can go, as things get updated on our website, you'll get to see a bit more about that. But we're really excited for that component. Okay, so, you've talked a little bit about April 7th and an International Adrenal Disease Awareness Day, but what is really the difference between Awareness Month and a specific Adrenal International Awareness Day?
That's a great question. So it's a national versus global thing, I guess is kind of the basic answer. So NADF actually started Adrenal Disease Awareness Month in 2012. And we chose April to honor Dr. Thomas Addison because his birthday falls in this month. He's the one whose work first brought recognition to adrenal disorders. NADF has been celebrating and promoting the Awareness Month, for this is going to be the 14th year, which is very exciting. A few years ago, led again by NADF, the International Adrenal Consortium came together, and that is an organization that encompasses folks from all around the world who come together on a regular basis to meet, share their exciting news, commiserate over the not so exciting news, and then also increasingly they've been working to plan different things, including the International Adrenal Disease Awareness Day, which falls on April 7th. This is the second year that we're going to be participating in this worldwide event, and several professional medical organizations have enthusiastically expressed their support for this global initiative, and that includes the Endocrine Society, International Society of Endocrinology, the Pediatric Endocrine Society, American Association of Endocrine Surgeons, they're the ones who are doing the webinar on April 7th, also the Spanish Society of Endocrinology and Nutrition, and the A5, which is the American, Asian, and Australian Alliance of Researchers. And in addition to all of that, if you check out Adrenal World News, they're going to be featuring information about this event as well.
It's, I know you mentioned all the organizations, but just to clarify too, in case anybody missed it, these are all international adrenal organizations or nonprofits all across the world. So it's incredible that we're gathering together. We kind of meet quarterly to share and update and work together on certain projects. But the fact that we have a designated day where we're all working towards the same goal all across the world is huge. And so having this dedicated day was really a milestone for the adrenal community and making waves, and getting the medical community involved is massive because unfortunately, as many of us know, the adrenal world, adrenal glands in general kind of get left behind in a lot of medical spaces and places. So we have, as you can tell, many things going on. I just want to share really quickly that we've mentioned, the Stride for Awareness. The virtual walk is something that we started a couple years ago that is super near and dear to my heart. I absolutely love it. I'm a nature fanatic. I love, in my pre-Addison's body, I was hiking all the time, outdoors. So I love being able to go outside, even for a small amount. This is a virtual walk. You can participate from anywhere. We ask that people wear blue, go outside, go for a walk, raise awareness. I've loved that my friends in my community, there's usually like 15 of us that go to a park typically. And I love it because people will see us all in blue and be like, what are you guys doing? It always starts a conversation, even though it's small. I think that's one of my favorite things to really get everyone involved in the community. The proclamation is another really incredible thing. I did that last year in the city of Austin. We've got a template so you can figure out how to ask your community to give a proclamation for adrenal disease awareness. And the light up for adrenal is so fun. It's kind of silly, but I love standing underneath City Hall and seeing the blue lights and people walking by being like, what is this about? Again, like you said, Meg, starting conversations within your community to help raise awareness.
And I just want to encourage people to go ahead and take the plunge with these things because we've tried to make it as easy as possible. And I will say for myself, I did both of these things last year. I sent in a letter for Light Up and got one of the buildings in my community lit up. And then also I sent in a letter for the proclamation. And that resulted in me going to one of the city council meetings and getting to shake hands with the mayor and getting to tell the community, and it was a packed meeting. There was something else happening, but I got to tell all of these people about adrenal disease and how it's actually had an impact on our community directly. So it is something that we should be aware of.
Same. And I was so surprised how easy it was to get the proclamation going. And I highly encourage people, as soon as you hear this episode or as soon as you hear about it, reach out because, it is something that the city does need to plan for or buildings and organizations need to. So the sooner you ask, the sooner they can confirm when and how they can help. Okay, so clearly there's a lot going on. There's new projects we're excited about we're going to share. And before we kind of wrap up on things, I just want to add that this episode is being recorded a few weeks prior to April. So there is a slight chance some of these activities have been, new activities have been added or the calendar has been adjusted. So really encourage you all to please check out the NADF calendar and the website for current information. And again, major shout out to Meg on that because the new website, if you haven't seen it, is incredible. It is so user-friendly. It's so beautiful. I always say it's brain fog friendly because sometimes my brain can't handle websites and clicking on things. And this one is really just top notch.
Thank you, Vanessa. That means a lot to me. And I'm glad to hear that it is brain fog friendly because that was the aim. Like, how can we do this on our worst days?
Okay, with that, is there anything else that you want to share or mention about Adrenal Disease Awareness Month?
I have a question for you, actually. I'm curious about what you're most excited about and what you're looking forward to during Adrenal Disease Awareness Month this year.
I thank you for asking me a question. I think I always am very excited about the walk. That's probably the thing that I am most excited about, doing and participating in getting people in my community to participate alongside me. But this year we have a couple new ideas that I think are going to be really fun. And I'm going to leave it at that because we're still getting our ducks in a row. But there's some social media stuff that I'm really pumped about. And I'm really hopeful that people will follow along and join in on the fun. There's so much stuff coming up. We are very excited about everything. Meg, thank you so much for giving us a little deep dive on AADAM and all that is coming our way.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks for being here, Adrenal Warriors. I'm your host, Vanessa O'Rourke, sending you all the spoons, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining in on another episode of All Things Adrenal. This episode is edited and produced by Magdalene Zinke. For more information on the National Adrenal Diseases Foundation, please visit NADF.us. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please leave us a rating and review to help others find out about all things adrenal. If you have a story you want to share or a question you'd like answered, reach out to NADF support at NADF.us.